Welcome, welcome, welcome. So excited to have you here. Congratulations for making the decision to reclaim you. If we have not met before, my name is Shannon Logan, and I've been an entrepreneur for over 10 years. I'm also a mom, I'm a wife, and overall just a person who's really passionate about personal growth and building a life beyond my wildest dreams. I've been a business coach and mentor for the last several years as well, so I have a lot of experience in trying to figure out how to arrange all the puzzle pieces of day-to-day life and still keep my passion and purpose in that grind. So, today we're going to walk you through the 3-step escape plan. I'm going to give you the exact steps to stop drowning in the day-to-day life and finally not only live but love the life that you have chosen to build. Now, if you are feeling like you're constantly juggling too many roles and it's still never enough, or that you're always busy and yet somehow there's never time for you, or possibly maybe you feel like you've lost that sense of who you are outside of all the responsibilities that you keep track of on a day-to-day basis, then you, my friend, you are in the right place. You are exactly where you're supposed to be. In just under 90 minutes, I'm going to show you a simple 3-step plan to help you reclaim your time, restore your energy, and most importantly, reconnect with yourself so you can be that best version for your husband, for your kids, and of course, for you. By the end, you're going to have the clarity and tools you need to finally break free from the daily grind and start creating a life that feels truly like yours. A life where you don't just survive, but you actually thrive. So let's dive in. Most importantly, I do want to let you know a little bit about me and my past history. So as we go through our workshop today, you might find out, you might learn, you might hear that I'm actually a person who stutters. I was born with a stutter as a child. I went to speech therapy my entire childhood, and it still kind of will stick around with me from day to day, even as an adult now. So if you hear me get stuck on a word, it's not because I'm anxious, it's not because I'm uncomfortable. It's just because that's part of who I am. Just like my red hair, my brown eyes, and the fact that I'm also a mom. So, with all that being said, let's dive in and review what led us to get here in the first place. What has led all of us to feel like we are not doing enough, but still just drowning in those day-to-day responsibilities? Well, for me, it actually happened a few different times. I had 2 breakdowns in my life of 39 years. The first one happened at 29. I was sitting in a parking lot watching my life fall apart, and everything I knew was crumbling down. My marriage was failing, I was drinking too much, I was having panic attacks, and I had no idea how to get out. Now, by God's grace, I did find a way out, and I learned some specific tools that have not only saved my life, but given me a life that I love every single day now. And I'm going to walk you through those exact same tools today. However, I wouldn't be fair to you or to myself if I didn't also mention my second breakdown, 6 years down the road at age 35, where now I was a new mom, remarried, I had a successful business, and I was drowning in the middle of a pandemic, trying to figure out how to take care of my infant, keep my business afloat, and really not lose myself in the entire process of it all. What I discovered through that is that burnout isn't actually an end. It's a call to reset. And today, I'm going to share with you the exact process that helped me break free and end that cycle that felt like I could never get out, and instead be able to not only take care of myself, but also my family and grow an extremely successful business. In fact, by putting into practice the exact same tools I'm going to teach you today, I ended up being able to take care of my daughter full-time, stay at home with her for her first 2 years of life while running my business from my house. And not only did I managed to do all that, we actually doubled our business income and tripled our profits in those 2 years, all while I had the time, freedom, and headspace to stay at home with my daughter. And through it all, I didn't go completely insane. I go back to that time now and I'm like, wow, how did I do that? But it's because I'm going to teach you the exact same processes, systems, and tools I put into place to secure myself so I could show up as that best self and help you now 10 years down the road. So I'm going to teach you exactly how we're going to do that. Now, you might be thinking, okay, Shannon, this is nice and all, but why does this actually matter to me? Great question. And the truth is, my story, it's not unique. So many women I have worked with, I have coached, feel this overwhelming sensation, this exhaustion, and like they lost sight of who they actually are. Maybe they've woken up 5, 10, 15 years down the road from having kids and working full time, and they look in the mirror and they're like, who is that person staring back at me? And what's so confusing is that you're doing all the right things. You're working so hard. But instead of feeling accomplished, you just feel exhausted. Maybe you're in your own version of that parking lot moment, feeling the weight of all those roles that you're trying to keep track of and balance day to day. You know, the career woman, the mom, the partner. Somehow in the midst of trying to keep everyone else happy, you've lost sight of you. I want you to know, most importantly, you are not alone in this. And it doesn't have to stay that way. Burnout can feel like an ending, but it's actually just a call to reset. It's a powerful opportunity instead to step into a life that feels like yours again. And I want to help you actually answer that call today. And that's why I've created my 3-step escape plan. This plan, it's not about doing more. Instead, it's about doing things differently. And I'm going to show you how to reclaim your time, restore your energy, and reconnect with yourself so that you can start to thrive instead of just survive. Because you deserve that. And this plan, it's your way to get there. So, are you ready? Let's go and let's dive in here. Here it is, my SET protocol. Self, energy, and time. Now, this protocol includes those 3 different aspects so that it's not just one-dimensional. And that's actually why it works. Because if you think about it, you aren't one-dimensional. You are a whole being with lots of aspects to yourself. And oftentimes, past programs have failed because they only focus on fitness. They only focus on time. They only focus on nutrition. And they don't take into account how all of these things actually have a dramatic impact on each other. So because you aren't one dimension, your approach shouldn't be either. And as I mentioned, all 3 of these dramatically impact each other. So think of it as like, it'd be like asking you to be a mom without being a woman. It's impossible to do. You cannot separate them. Yet by addressing them as a unit, as a core foundation, you can build your dreams off of them. And we're going to break each one down so you know exactly where you're stuck and, more importantly, how to fix it. So, the first problem, the one that everyone starts out with, it comes to me, is like, I don't have enough time. I don't know how to get more time. How do I even start? Where do I start? For example, does it feel like no matter how much you do, there's still a never-ending to-do list of tasks that demand your attention? Meetings, the errands, the drop-offs, the pickups, the vet visits, school lunches, God forbid making a home-cooked meal. Never mind all the actual physical exertion of it all, the mental load of trying to keep track of it all that is required to keep up with it is enough to burn all of us out, to burn any of us out. For me, it looked like trying to juggle a business, a household, and being a mom, not to mention a wife, and never finding a single moment for myself to breathe, let alone focus on things that renewed my spirit. You see, us women, in my opinion, are expected to be 100% career focused when we're at work and 100% family focused when we're home, yet simultaneously balancing out both roles perfectly, as if the opposite role it didn't exist. Meanwhile, if you think about it, each one of those things is its own full-time job. In today's world, often it's more than a typical 40-hour work week. So what exactly is it that we're supposed to do? Now, most gurus are going to tell you that you need to start to time block. You need to create the perfect schedule. Maybe do a time audit and see where you can use time more efficiently. And while, yes, this can all be helpful, it doesn't remove the fact that there is just still too many expectations for one person to be responsible for, especially in this insane world that's fast-paced and never stopping. So how do we balance it all? I want to ask you a question. What if instead of cramming more into your schedule, you simply remove the things that drain your time? Think about that for a second. You just started to actually pull them out and take them off of your plate. What would happen? The real secret to how to get your time back and not have all that mental clutter every single day: outsource your daily responsibilities. Now, what does that look like? And what do I actually mean by that? Well, think about it. All the things that take up time outside of work. The cooking, the laundry, the cleaning, random household tasks, yard work. Imagine if you were to hand all those things off, pick them up, and give them to someone else to do, so that you aren't responsible for arranging all the pieces of that puzzle. Instead, you could turn the brain off and have someone else do it. How much time would that save you each day? What about in a week? Imagine an entire month. That'd be a lot of time, right? I want you to stop and think to yourself, what would you do with 2 extra hours every single week, minimum? That's an extra 8 hours per month. What's the very first thing that you would do with that time? Maybe it's read a book. Maybe it's take a warm bath. If you're like me, it'll be sit on my porch alone and have no one bother me. Now, I know what you're going to say. I can't afford to outsource. I can't afford to hire someone to do all these things for me. And I hear this actually all the time. I hear that it's going to cost me way too much. My husband would kill me if I spent that kind of money. And the truth is that you actually can do it, and that you should do it, because you're probably losing money by not doing it. And here's how. This is what I tell people. This is how I work with all my clients. First and foremost, you have to calculate your earned hourly rate. That is how much you're making every single hour you work. And then based off of that, you can decide with which things to hand off right away, so you can regain that time and regain some actual space for yourself. So your earned hourly rate is the total amount you make per year before taxes divided by the number of hours you work throughout that year. And once you know that, you can start to figure out, hey, I should be handing off these tasks that cost $20 to pay someone else to do, because I'm actually making $50 when I work. And so if I hire someone, I'm not only saving money, saving $30, but then I also have that free time that we've talked so much about. And your time, by the way, it's the only resource we can't ever get back. Now, I'm going to walk you through this and what works and why it's actually going to save you money, okay? And not to mention time and also headspace. So, if your earned hourly rate is $50 an hour and you're spending time on tasks that someone else could do for $20, like I mentioned, you're losing money. So I want you to get out a piece of paper and a pen, and I want you to write down how much you make per year before taxes. So in this example, it's $100K, right? And let's say you work an average of 40 hours per week. It's typical, a 9 to 5. And let's say you work 50 weeks per year. You've got 2 weeks vacation. Now, typically people have more than that, especially if you add in sick days. But just for the sake of this, let's say you have 50 weeks a year. So 40 hours a week times 50 weeks that you work equals 2,000 hours a year that you work. Now, if you divide what you make before taxes by total hours worked per the year, you come up with your earned hourly rate. And this example would be $100K divided by 2,000. This person's EHR would be $50. That means that they really should be outsourcing the majority of things that cost less than that, like dog walking, like laundry, like meal prep. When you free up your time so that you don't have to worry about these overwhelming, never-ending, stacking up day-to-day tasks, you're now able to focus on your strengths, where you could be making more money, right? So whether it's making more money or being more present and happy with your kids, think about how it would feel to get that time back. All the time that you work every week on those $10 tasks, how they stack up from a day-to-day aspect, right? Think about it from a work perspective, okay? If all that mental clutter was gone, all that noise in your head of keeping track of all those daily tasks, if you weren't having to do mom math every single day to figure out that daily timeline, how much more productive could you be? What kind of creative breakthroughs could you have? What promotions could you achieve? Not only how much more money could you be making, but how much happier would you be if you didn't have to keep track of those tasks, if you didn't have to exert the energy to do all those tasks? Think how much calmer your life would be. Think how much more bandwidth you would have for all the things that you actually enjoy but don't seem to have time for. Now, here's the thing. We can always make more money. We can always go back to work and make more income, buy a new car, get the next house, etc., etc., etc. But we can never get our kids' childhoods back. And trust me, from experience, your husband's going to be thrilled to see you happy and less stressed. For example, for me, I have outsourced our laundry. I use an app called Poplin, Poplin. It does laundry for $1 a pound. It's incredible. I've outsourced our cooking. We actually have someone come to the house on Mondays and cook meals for the week, so that not only do we eat healthier and we enjoy the meals. However, I don't have to take the time to run to the store, get all the food, take the time to cook all the meals, and figure it out every single week. It's done for me. So when I get done my workday and pick up my 4-year-old, I can pay attention to her and play with her and be present with her instead of trying to figure out how to juggle childcare and cooking and puppy, because we have a puppy too, right? So I outsource that. It costs me about $350 a week, including groceries. Okay, so that's with the food that we buy for it. It's really not that much. I also outsource things like doggy daycare. We have a puppy and he's high energy and I work from home. And sometimes I need to focus. A lot of times I need to focus. And I can't give him exactly what he needs to get all that energy out. So I take him to doggy daycare. He loves it. He comes home exhausted. And I have time to do things like this and help more people. We have landscapers that come and cut our grass. I use an app called TaskRabbit. Example, you see these frames behind me. I've got my diplomas, a couple awards. Oops, opposite side over here. I had someone come and hang those because I know that I want them to look good. I want them to be centered. And I don't want to have 5 holes in my wall, which is what happens when I try to hang big frames like that. Now, besides the cost, I know what else you're going to say to me. You're going to say, I feel guilty if I outsource all of this stuff. It's like my role as a mom. Isn't this all the stuff I should be doing? I thought this is what a wife and a mom does. I want you to pause and think about that. Really think about that for 1 second here. God gave you gifts. You have incredible gifts that only you actually have, that no one else on this planet does. You have gifts that you're meant to share with the world. Gifts to make the world a better place. gifts to use with our families, with our friends, with our churches. But to use those gifts, we need to have the time and we need to have the space to actually show up fully and not exhausted, burned out, and mentally somewhere else. So when you get stuck in that, well, I thought that this is what I'm supposed to do, challenge that thought. Go back to what you're passionate about. Go back to the gifts that you know God gave you and how you can help people with those gifts. And I would say that's much more important than making sure that your laundry is clean each week. You know, how many people could you help if you had more time? What kind of experiences could you give your kids? What kind of work breakthroughs could you experience and be responsible for that could change the face of this planet if you weren't so exhausted all the time? What could you do with an extra 5 to 10 hours per week? Man, imagine that for just 1 second, what that would be like. Now, we just figured out time, right? We talked about how to get it back, how to outsource it, how to explore what your earned hourly rate is, how to walk through some of that self-talk so that you can get back to your true gifts. And so we just reclaimed our time. The next big block that we find is energy. I'm just tired all the time. I'm worn out. How do I reclaim it? How do I get it back? So many of my clients that I work with feel like they're running on fumes. No matter how much coffee they have or how many to-do lists they walk through, it just always wears them down. And for me, I actually can remember a time when I was so depleted, so worn out, so exhausted, that even the smallest tasks, like ordering groceries off of DoorDash, felt like a huge mountain I had to walk up. I was exhausted, snapping at my family, barely functioning. I knew something had to change, and I knew they deserved better. And deep inside, I knew that I deserved better too. So here's the thing. Energy is extremely multifaceted. It is the most impacted by nutrition, fitness, and sleep. And really, I could do an entire masterclass on each one of those. I myself worked in health and fitness for 20 years. And so I have a lot of experience with how to dial in both exercise and nutrition to really get some incredible results. However, I want to respect your time and not take up your entire day. So while we don't have time to go into all three today, I am going to share with you the biggest lever that you can pull. There's one area that's the easiest to fix, yet has the biggest impact. And that one thing is actually sleep. The best thing that you can do to reignite your energy is get enough sleep. It sounds simple, but it's often the very first thing we sacrifice when life gets busy. And it's actually critical. It's critical for our survival. Think about it for a second, right? A person can go their entire life without exercising. I don't recommend it, but they can do it. There are people that live their entire life and never walk into a gym. And you can also survive up to 30 days without food. No, it's not fun, but you could do it. Sleep, however, sleep is literally used as a torture mechanism because it will drive people mad where their body starts to shut down in under 5 days. Your body cannot sustain the biological, physiological, or mental processes that it needs to without sleep. Yet, sleep tends to be the first thing that we sacrifice when life gets busy. And it ends up having our hormones completely wrecked, which leads to weight gain, which leads to anxiety, depression, fatigue, and a whole list of problems. Now, what's the simplest way to ensure you get enough sleep? It's totally going to surprise you, and it's really simple. It is something my mentor Craig calls the reverse alarm. So it's kind of exactly what it sounds like. You set an alarm 60 minutes before you want to fall asleep. And when it goes off, it starts to remind you, hey, it's time to go to bed. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're probably rolling your eyes at me. Okay, Shannon, whatever. Like, that's actually going to work. But hear me out, because this one tool has transformed my life, and it's completely free. So as I mentioned, you're going to set it up for 60 minutes before bed. Think of it as a way to give yourself permission to prioritize your rest. And when it goes off, you're going to start to do all the things you need to get to bed on time. You're going to turn off the Netflix. You're going to shut down the laptop. Start to do old school activities like maybe put the dishes away, take a hot shower before bed, read a fun book, things that'll help you wind down from the day. Then, when it's time to lay your head on that pillow, your body and your brain will be primed for rest. You'll be able to fall asleep easily and quickly. Now, again, I know what you're going to say. Staying up late is the only time I actually have alone. You know, I'm a busy mom. I work. I have kids. I have a spouse. And no one leaves me alone until they're all asleep. That's a fair point. That's a fair point, and I've walked it out too. But what happens if you actually switch it out strategically? And what I mean by that is, instead of staying up late at night, what if we carve out moments for you earlier in the day instead? My mentor, Craig Ballantyne, talks about this all the time. That research actually shows that as humans, we have the most willpower, discipline, and motivation first thing in the morning. As the day wears on, decision fatigue comes in. We're pulled at all ends between work, family, life, and we get worn out, which makes our motivation much harder to keep up. That's why morning time is actually so much better to carve this time out for you. Because scientifically, you have a much better chance of succeeding and making it happen. Not to mention actually enjoying it, because you aren't burned out from the day yet. So you'll show up better for everyone, including yourself. So if it's not the like, I'm only alone at night, it's the only time I have. I hear that objection all the time. And then I also hear, when I try to go to sleep, my brain is just racing. My mind will not shut off. And if I fall asleep, I don't ever stay asleep. And then when I wake up, that brain is just overactive again. My mind won't stop racing. I've been there. I've been in the exact same boat. I wake up at 2 a.m. and I'm like, what did I forget to do yesterday? Something's nagging me. Or what has to be done tomorrow? Why didn't those girls want to play with my kid on the playground? Did I forget to call my mom back? I don't remember. Just going and going and going and going. This is something I cover actually much more in depth with my one-on-one clients, where we lead them through their own customized action steps to help with those last 60 minutes before bed. So their brain does what we call a brain dump before bed, and they get it all out. And so it's written on paper. Their conscious and subconscious is no longer having to process it. And we structure their lifestyle, their 60 minutes before bed, to do all the things that work for them, to calm the body, to calm the mind, to help things decompress before your head hits that pillow. And that has an incredible impact on the amount of relaxation for the person as a whole, so that when it is time to sleep, their body is actually ready for quality sleep that will allow them to wake up the next day feeling rejuvenated and refreshed. I have a client, I started working with her. Her name's Anna, and within 2 weeks, her sleep was completely changed, actually, just from a few simple things that we did. All right, so this is my client, Anna, and this is what she did with her sleep in like 10 days of coaching with me. Look at this. She went from an average of 5 hours and 56 minutes a night by tweaking just a few things. Now she's getting over 7 hours and 13 minutes a night. That is an extra 75 minutes per day. If that doesn't sound like a lot to you, think about it across the week. That is an extra 8.5 hours of sleep per week. That's a full extra night. And what we did is we looked at her lifestyle, her goals, things she enjoyed, what was happening to her when she woke up at night, because that was the big issue with her. She could fall asleep, but then she was waking up 2 to 3 times a night and not being able to go back to sleep. So when I worked with her in my coaching program one-on-one, we figured out what was actually keeping her up. We put some boundaries in place to help her kind of have easy, restful, resetting sleep. And this is 10 days, now she's getting an extra 75 minutes per night because of those step-by-step actions that were built out for her and her lifestyle, of all the things she enjoyed but still wanted to feel great. So that this is kind of how I take my clients through this. Now, I do cover this quite a bit more in depth in my coaching program, because it is one of those big pillars that we talk about. And I would love to help you as well with sleep. So if this feels like something that might work for you, if you're like, man, I would really love to learn more, I want to invite you to actually hop on my website and see if it could be a good fit. So if this strikes a chord with you, or it sounds like something that would help, feel free to go to my website, coachshannonlogan.com. Right down there, you can see it. And there's a little button at the top that says free resources. Now, on that link, you're going to find there's about 10 or 12 PDFs on there. One's for sleep, one's for time. I have a whole bunch of resources. And you're also going to find a tab that says apply for coaching. And feel free to click that, fill out the application, even if you just want to learn more, because it'll walk you through how to hop on my booking link and set up a call just to chat to see if it could be a good fit for you, and just to learn more, because I would love to help you simplify your life to get really, really good rest. Because think about it. How would your world change if you woke up every day energized? If you woke up ready and excited for the day? If you didn't get home at night completely drained, exhausted, burned out, and just like, oh man, I got to go back and do that tomorrow? Well, what would that be like for you? What it would be like for your spouse and for your kids if you had that gusto to bring them your best, to bring passion and excitement behind each time that you spend with them. How could that change your world for you? All right, so now we've gotten back your time. You gained at least 5-6 hours per week minimum. Now we've gotten back energy, right? So now you're feeling better. You've got more time to kill. All that's great. Let's talk about that third pillar, that reclaiming your identity. This is where the real magic happens. So the problem here? The problem is we feel like we've lost ourselves. I mean, how many of us have felt like we've completely lost sight of who we are in the process of trying to take care of everything and everyone else? You know, waking up and looking in the mirror 5, 10, maybe 15 years down the road and not recognizing who's looking back at us. I hear this all the time from my clients. And I don't even know how we get there, right? Like we just wake up and we're like, who's that woman looking back at me? I blinked and it was 10 years down the road. I know for me, when I had my first breakdown at 29, I know that's quote unquote young, but like I looked at myself in the mirror and I was like, this is not what I had planned for my life. This is not what I thought it was going to be like. And it was like time had just gone by and I just ended up in this pit with no idea how to get out. And not that all my clients feel like they're in a pit, but so often they do feel like life has happened to them and all of a sudden they come to and they're like, how the heck did I get here? And now I really want to get out. How do I do that? And the number one reason women like us tend to lose ourselves, the number one thing that has that impact, that makes us wake up 5, 10, 15 years down the road wondering, how did we get here? And who the heck are we at this point? It's taking on everyone else's needs and putting our own ones on the back burner. Now here's the thing. I don't believe it's your fault. I feel that society has actually taught us to measure our worth as women, as moms, as wives, by how much we do for other people. And really, that's not sustainable. And it's sure as heck not serving anyone, because you are so much more and have so much more to offer than just how you best can help your kids or how you best can help your spouse. And this is exactly why I created my burnout blueprint. It's a 12-step process designed to help you reclaim your identity and show up as your best self for those that you love and for you. This blueprint is actually based off of the 12 steps of recovery, which have helped millions of people rebuild their lives from the inside out and saved mine. Because they work, because the 12 steps don't just address the symptoms of burnout, they go to the root of why it happened in the first place and resolve it and give you a clear path forward. Because we just can't address the burnout, we have to pay attention to why it occurred in the first place and make the change. Now, my burnout blueprint guides you through outlining your own personal values and vision for yourself and for your family. Because when we take the time to know those things, then we have a really good grasp of who we are and where we want to go. Now, for me, this journey began when I realized that I was making decisions out of habit, obligation, and fear. When I was living a life behind that mask that I was putting on for everyone of the perfect girl, man, it was exhausting. But once I aligned my life with my core values and started working through the steps, everything changed. My relationships improved, my business thrived, and I finally felt more alive than I had ever felt before. Now I take my clients through this exact same 6 to 12 month process where we work one-on-one to build out their own customized blueprint, designed around their priorities, their identities, their gifts, of course, values and vision, and the purpose that they believe God put in them. Clearly, you and I can't go through that whole 6 to 12 month program in this masterclass. You'd be here for way too long. But I am going to provide you my top 5 journal prompts to start defining your own values and vision. If you want out of the rat race, you must have a plan to follow. And that is your values and your vision. If you leave it up to society's day-to-day, you will end up exhausted, overwhelmed, and treading water, just having a fraction of the life you really deserve. As my mentor always says, values and vision should define every decision. And when they do, you will have an incredible life. Now, I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, I don't have the time to do this. That you're feeling overwhelmed and exhausted just thinking about it. And fair, that's a real concern. But here's the thing. By now, we've handled that already. By this point, we'll give you back a minimum of six hours per week. So you can take that time and invest it back in you to get to know yourself again, to get to love yourself. And if it's not that you don't have the time, you're going to say, I don't have the energy to do this. I feel like if I had one more thing to my plate, everything's going to come crashing down. Because you already feel so worn out. So where do I expect you to find the gusto to walk through all of this? Well, remember, we've already solved that problem. We've improved your sleep. We've improved your energy as a result. You have more time so you can recharge more often. We've already solved that. And if you forgot, go back to my website, coachshannonlogan.com, where if you click the free resources tab, you can grab a couple PDFs to help with both time and sleep. You'll be sleeping like a baby, waking up before your alarm, and you'll have the tools to reclaim those extra hours in your day to restore your energy so that you can put yourself first again. Because you deserve to live a life where you feel connected and grounded in yourself. Imagine living that life where you serve the people that you love the most with more purpose, with more joy, and without losing you. So honestly, can you afford not to do this? So to recap, my SET protocol, self, energy, and time, where we focus on these foundational principles, which will have a ripple effect throughout your entire life. With time, we've started to value what you're actually worth, figure out how much your time costs, and outsource those day-to-day, always stacking up $10 tasks to give you back more headspace, more peace, and more you. We've also increased energy because now you have more time, so you don't have to spend it all racing around like a crazy person. And we've adapted a few simple sleep tweaks that are going to have you sleeping like a baby and waking up before your alarm. And with all that extra time and energy we've gained, now we get to reclaim ourselves. We get to get out of burnout by using my 12-step burnout blueprint, get back in touch with you, and rediscover that identity that you so desperately miss through developing your own values and vision and letting them be a filter for all that you do. So when you combine these three things, it's impossible not to have total life transformation, to give you the lifestyle that you not only crave, but that you deserve. If this sounds like you, I want to invite you to apply for my executive coaching program, The Whole Woman Reset. We'll work together on what's really causing the burnout, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, so that you can start showing up as that version of you who's been there all along, the one who's strong and capable and finally able to breathe. And by the way, I'm not just going to tell you to hire a nanny or to get an assistant or make more time for self-care. Yeah, you might end up needing to do one or more of those things, but all of it, it's just a band-aid if you don't get down to the real why the burnout exists in the first place. And that reason looks different for everyone. So if any of this is hitting home for you, I'd love to invite you to check out my whole woman reset. You can go to my website, apply for coaching, and you and I can set up a quick call to walk you through all the steps to make sure that it'd be a good fit for you. So feel free to hop on my website, coachshannonlogan.com, seen right there, and hit the tab that says apply for coaching so that we can get you the life that you deserve. Now, this is not a hard sell. This is me just saying if this is something that sounds interesting to you, let's talk about what's possible. Because if you're tired of just surviving and you're ready to actually start living again, I'd love to show you how. And as we wrap up today, I want to thank you for spending some of your time with me. As I've mentioned, time is the only resource we can never get back. So I'm always really humbled when people decide to spend some of that valuable resource with me. Thank you. If I can help out with anything at all, or if you have questions at all, please feel free to reach out to me. My contact info is on that screen below. Email me, DM me, send a smoke signal. I would love to chat with you about any and all things when it comes to personal growth, health, and happiness. Once again, I want to thank you for your time, and go out there and start to live the life that you deserve, one where you're thriving, not just surviving.